Is the world dying? Where will we go? Is life on another planet possible? One day life on Earth will end, and it won't be the first time.
Why have living things disappeared 5 times? We don't realize we've lost. In the past, our world experienced great extinctions, 5 great extinctions. After these 5 great extinctions, we can say that the 6th great extinction has begun. What are the 5 great extinctions? 5 times our world has seriously lost life.
What caused the previous extinctions?
So what happened 5 times when life disappeared? And how did it come back?
One day life on Earth will end, and it won't be the first time. What caused the previous extinctions? After 4.5 billion years of life on Earth, is it coming to an end? According to science, how many years does our planet have left to live? According to NASA, in how many years will the world end? If the Earth is no longer suitable for life, is life on another planet possible? Which planets offer hope for the survival of life? What are the risks that could bring about the end of humanity? Where will we go when that day comes? If catastrophic scenarios occur, do we have a chance of survival? Today we will examine the fate of our home, our world, in the light of scientific data. Just as all good things come to an end, life on Earth will come to an end. Scientific data and predictions make this clear. Science fiction novels and films have long dealt with this subject. Armageddon, The Book of Eli, Snowpiercer, Waterworld, The Day After Tomorrow are just some of the films about the end of the world. So, films aside, after how many years will life on Earth come to an end? What does science tell us? As frightening as it may sound, this is not the first time that major extinctions have occurred. We go to Professor Dr. Hussein Ozturk to find out the answer to these questions.
5 great extinctions occurred about 450 million years ago, 340 million, 250 million, 210 million, and 65 million years ago. In terms of geologic time, 1 in the Ordovician, 1 in the late Devonian, 1 in the late Permian, 1 in the late Triassic, 1 in the late Cretaceous.
The Mayans predicted the end of the world in 2012. Fortunately, this date turned out to be wrong, but we now have much more than predictions about the end of life on Earth. In fact, scientific research reveals many different scenarios for how life on Earth will end. It is difficult to predict which will come true, but one thing is certain: life on this planet will end one day. Our big, old, and beautiful Earth is 4,540,000,000 years old, according to scientific data obtained by geologists. We, anatomically modern humans, have been on this land for only 200,000 years. So what happened in the remaining 4,539,800,000 years? Evolution began with microbial organisms formed by bacteria and archaea, and continued with the formation of the atmosphere 3.5 billion years ago. The first organisms to use oxygen in their metabolism appeared 1.85 billion years ago. 450 million years ago, the first land plants appeared. About 300 million years ago, dinosaurs became the sole rulers of the world. This may seem a long time in terms of human life, but when you look at the history of the planets, it is not even a grain of sand on the beach. Nevertheless, it is more than enough to show how difficult it is to create life.
Of course, this doesn't happen in a short period of time. This extinction process takes between 2 and 5 million years, but it takes 5 to 10 million years to recover from this destruction. But we can always say that our nature has been restored over time.
Contrary to popular belief, dinosaurs are not the only creatures we have lost.
Bu kadar
We don't realize that we are losing creatures that are not very media friendly. The creatures we see today are only 1% of what we saw in the past. It's actually a miracle.
Aslında bu bir mucize.
We know that dinosaurs were killed by meteors, but what caused other extinctions?
Büyük volkan patlamaları.
Major volcanic eruptions are the main cause of major extinctions. Now the climate is changing, there is no single cause.
Bu iklim değişikliği.
These eruptions cause climate change. A volcano rains acids, it causes dust and gases, it causes cold weather. So it changes all the living conditions. But then there are other problems that affect the climate. There is massive melting of glaciers. When the glaciers melt, a thin layer of light fresh water covers the oceans. In other words, a thin layer of fresh water covers the seawater. The fresh water does not mix with the salt water underneath. Because the fresh water is light, it stays on top of the waves. It cannot mix with the water underneath. When it doesn't mix with the salt water, oxygen doesn't get to the bottom. When there is no oxygen at the bottom, mass death begins. This is an example of an extinction event.
Gitmeyince de kitlesel ölümler başlıyor. Bir tanesi bu.
But is our world at such risk today?
Geçmişte olan
What happened in the past can happen today. In other words, just as mass extinctions happened in the past, whatever the reasons were, they can happen today.
neden olmuşsa bugün de olabilir.
Acid rain from volcanic eruptions could be worse than anything we have ever seen, even in dystopian films.
Bu asit yağmurları başlayınca
When acid rain starts, the pH of the soil drops to 5, 3, 2. After that, the aluminum in the soil starts to dissolve. Arsenic starts to dissolve. Zinc starts to dissolve. All the toxic elements start to dissolve. So all the water that people can drink, all the water that animals can drink, starts to become toxic. So volcanic eruptions are what we are most afraid of right now. We have such large volcanoes that are in danger of erupting. For example, there is Yellowstone in America, a big volcanic eruption could destroy it. There are already big chains of volcanoes all along the Andes, or in the Pacific, all along the Pacific belt. The activation of these, the activation of more than one of them, and there are some factors that can activate them. For example, climate change, melting of the ice on the backs of the continents. When that happens, the continents start to rise because the load on them goes away. As the continents rise, all the other plates move in a different way and the system is disrupted. Then the melts in the earth, which we call magma, go up, erupt and affect our atmosphere. The whole event is the disruption of the atmosphere. Once the atmosphere is disturbed, everything is over.
The other major factor threatening the world is us, the humans.
At the same time as the human population is rapidly increasing, biodiversity is rapidly decreasing. In other words, we are rapidly losing species. We are losing species, but the human population is growing very rapidly. This rapid increase increases the pressure on other species. Because of this pressure, the world is going into another crisis. And that is the climate crisis.
What are the chances of surviving this catastrophic scenario?
Bence mağaralarda kendini kurtaran bir
Only in caves can there be some groups of creatures that can save themselves. In special sheltered places, in caves, there may be some species that can survive great acid rains, toxic gas emissions. Let's not forget that in the past the dinosaurs were wiped out, but some species that went underground saved themselves. They emerged when things returned to normal. Take the mouse generation, for example. That's how some rodents survived. Yes, there can be survivors of great destruction. Today humanity is trying, and should be trying, to build structures both on Earth and in the sky to deal with this situation. But we cannot save all of humanity, we cannot save billions of people. Unfortunately, we will all be like the fossils of the past that have disappeared, like the fossils we find in the discoveries of the present.
kayıtlanmış fosiller gibi insan fosillerini kayıtlanmış göreceğiz.
For centuries, scientists have conducted different studies to find the answer to the same question. The research by Dr. Rushby and his colleagues at the University of East Anglia into when the world will end suggests that we have 1,750,000,000 years of life left. But of course that is not so long for humans and other creatures that need complex living conditions. According to another study published in Astrobiology, between 1,750,000,000 and 3,025,000,000 years from now, the Earth will be in the hot zone of the Sun. That may be easy to say, but it would be catastrophic for all living things. Everything will melt, the seas will evaporate, and a deadly process of extinction will begin. Mankind will not even have a chance to approach the beginning of this process. The end of the process will only be witnessed by microorganisms, simple creatures that can survive in a heat-resistant environment. They will decide whether there is anything for us to fear or not, because human beings, who are sensitive to even the slightest climate change, will be extinct before all this happens if they do not find a new planet to live on. NASA is, of course, one of the institutions carrying out research on this subject. The calculations of the NASA research teams show that the time left for life on Earth is shorter than other studies. According to the modeling, exactly 1 billion years from now, when the data shows 1,000,000,2021, the amount of oxygen will drop to uninhabitable levels. Of course, this research is based on long-term studies. Kazumi Ozaki, one of the research team, said they ran the model 400,000 times. This is not a small number and shows how seriously the data should be taken. According to this research, solar radiation will be the main factor in the end of life. The sun, which is the source of life, will again play a leading role at the end of life. There will be no more oxygen on Earth because of the sun. In fact, this process has been going on for billions of years, even if we are not aware of it. Like an app running in the background on your phone, we are running out of oxygen every second without even knowing it. Our planet reached its highest oxygen level 2.5 billion years ago and has been losing oxygen ever since. The same study also shows that oxygen depletion is not the only danger facing the world. The biggest threat to life on Earth is global warming and the climate change it causes. It is also clear that if no further action is taken against global warming, we will have no more than 1 billion years left. Our world is now 1.5 times hotter than it was before the Industrial Revolution. This data alone shows that the countdown is accelerating. Although the average time for the end of all life on Earth is about 1 billion years, it is not difficult to guess that the time left for the end of humanity alone is much shorter. Scientists at Oxford University have compiled a list of risks that could destroy life on Earth. At the top of the list is climate change, in line with NASA research. It is well known that extreme climate change will lead to global starvation, especially in poor countries. Of course, the extinction is not limited to poor countries. It is said that this process may also lead to great migrations and great wars that can be defined as the beginning of the end of the world. According to Oxford University, one of the risks that could end the world is epidemics. This risk is made all the more frightening by the increase in known drug-resistant microorganisms and the fact that globalization means that epidemics are unlikely to remain local. Hollywood movies, in particular, often depict a scenario in which the world is destroyed by a meteorite strike. The extinction of the dinosaurs is a big part of this, of course. One of the last large meteorites to hit Earth was an asteroid or comet that struck Tunguska, Siberia, on June 30, 1908. This asteroid flattened an area of 1,600 square kilometers. 65 million years ago, in what is now Mexico, a 10-kilometer wide, 100 million megaton mass slammed into the Yucatan Peninsula and wiped out all the flightless dinosaurs. Such mass extinctions are estimated to occur every 100 million years. Along with climate change, pandemics and massive asteroid impacts, ecological disasters, biological weapons, nanotechnology and artificial intelligence are among the risks that could spell the end of humanity, according to research by Oxford University. Some scientists argue that in just 10,000 years there will be no human beings left on Earth. According to this view, sea levels will rise by 3 to 4 meters in 10,000 years due to global warming. According to the same research, after 13,000 years, the Earth will be reversed, so to speak, so that the axial tilt will be reversed, causing summer and winter to occur on opposite sides of the orbit. In 15,000 years the Sahara will disappear, and in 50,000 years Niagara Falls will disappear. According to the same theory, in 100,000 years the whole world will be under lava, and in 200,000 years all known star clusters will disappear. In 300,000 years, WR104, a double star system in the Pinwheel Nebula, will be destroyed in a supernova. The gamma rays from this explosion will threaten all life on Earth. This theory suggests that even if life ended long ago, the Earth will turn into a red planet in 5 billion years and be destroyed by the Sun in 7 billion years. We have discussed the research and theories about when the end of the world will come. Now let's look at whether it is possible to live on another planet in the universe if we have to leave this beautiful world one day.
Just as things that were dreams for us in the past have become reality today, for example, cell phones, video calls to anywhere in the world, things that are dreams today may also become reality in the future. There are studies about this. There are Mars-based studies on this subject all over the world. We think this research will increase. But when we go to another planet after destroying this Earth, it is certain that we will destroy it as well. If these destructions are man-centered, then we deserve everything that has happened or will happen to us. So if we go to Mars after making a paradise Earth uninhabitable, we deserve the worst.
The most basic human instinct is undoubtedly to survive. For this reason, research has been carried out for many years to find a way to escape if life on Earth one day becomes impossible. The possibility of life on another planet has become more widely discussed, especially since the 2000s. While the scientific world says that life on other planets may be possible, it does not seem possible with current technology. Although research has not yet found a planet where we can live in conditions similar to our Earth, it is thought that there is an Earth-like planet less than 10 billion light-years away. This distance may seem small in astronomical terms, but unfortunately it would take hundreds of thousands of years to reach these planets with current technology. However, some planets are more suitable for life than others. Of course, for a planet to be considered habitable, it must meet certain conditions. It is generally accepted that the basic requirements for life are liquid water, a source of usable energy, sunlight for photosynthesis and chemicals containing organic carbon. Establishing life on Mars is one of the great dreams of many scientists and science fiction fans. The fact that it is technically possible only adds to the excitement. But we have to accept that we do not yet have the technology to establish life on Mars, and we will not have it in the near future.
Mars'ta biraz su var. Yani Mars meteoritlerine
There is some water on Mars. So when we look at Martian meteorites and Martian rocks, we see some water. There are stream structures on Mars that show that there was water in the past. So we think that Mars is a more habitable area. A small area can be built to live on Mars, like a shelter. But it is not an easy task to make Mars the way we live on Earth.
Bugünkü anladığımız insanı Mars'a adapte etmek kolay bir iş değil.
A major step has been taken in recent years to overcome the oxygen problem on Mars. NASA sent a device to Mars that can convert carbon dioxide into oxygen, just as trees do on Earth. The device, called MOXIE for Mars Oxygen In Situ Resource Utilization Experiment, drew carbon dioxide from the Martian atmosphere to produce its first oxygen. The vehicle produced 5.4 grams of oxygen, enough to keep an astronaut healthy for 10 minutes, proving that the technology works on the red planet. But we still have big problems. One of the biggest is the lack of magnetic fields. According to NASA research, TOI 700D, 100 light-years from Earth, is a potentially habitable planet. This planet, slightly larger than Earth, orbits its star and receives 86% of the energy that Earth receives from the Sun. The planet in question is thought to be rocky. A year on this planet lasts 37 days. Scientists from the University of California, Los Angeles, recently announced that the Earth-like planet Kepler-62f, 1,200 light-years from Earth, may have the right conditions for life. Kepler-62f is about 40 times larger than Earth, has multiple atmospheres and is one of the top candidates for the planets we will one day need to leave this beautiful world. Humanity's galaxy hunt continues under the leadership of NASA. Although it is unlikely to be possible to go there in the near future, it does not seem impossible to find a planet with Earth-like living conditions. After considering all these catastrophic scenarios, we are left with only one question. Is it possible to save the world?
Dünyamızı bir katastroftan kurtarmak mümkün değil maalesef.
Unfortunately, it is not possible to save our world from destruction. No one can survive the coming extinction. Certain groups of people who prepare themselves in advance can continue their lives for a certain period of time. And this is not easy. Volcanic eruptions last 1,000 years, 5,000 years. They can go on for millions of years. So how long can you survive by solving the problem of soil oxidation, polluted atmosphere, polluted water?
Kirli sisteminden kurtularak hayatta ne kadar kalabileceğin sorusu zor bir soru.
Contrary to popular belief, not everything is in our hands.
Az tüketim. Daha
We will
minimal.
consume less, live more minimally, reduce our carbon footprint. We will reduce our water footprint, we will reduce our footprint in everything. That's how we have to live, that's where the world is going. So if we live that way, we can slow things down a little bit. But the Earth has its own natural system that is rapidly destroying the atmosphere.
O büyük atmosferi hızla yok eden.
The rapid loss of oxygen in the oceans, these periods without oxygen, which we call annular oxide periods, and this acidification on the land, these are the real problems of the world. So there are some things we can do to prevent this situation, but not everything is in our hands. Why not? Because the Earth has been subjected to great destruction from time to time without human beings, we didn't do everything, but now we are sending gases to warm the atmosphere at a tremendous rate. This is causing the climate crisis and accelerating the process.
So what can we do?
Dünyanın bir tane sahibi yok ki. Dünyada bir sürü güçler var.
There is no one owner of the world. There are many big powers in the world. There are civil wars, internal conflicts, country wars, local wars. If you say let's save our world while all this is going on, who would be interested in this issue? So it is just a hope, and we cannot realize it. Maybe it can happen. We need to move towards a one-state, one-government world that will save the system. This world must be governed from one place. But this is not easy.
Yani bu dünyanın artık tek elden yürütülmesi lazım. Bu kolay bir şey değil.
If you enjoyed our video, please do not forget to subscribe to our channel. See you in the next video.